Hello, my name's Kevin McDonnell, and I'm going to be talking about Microsoft Search today, and we'll cover a bit of the what, the why, and the how. First, a little bit about me for those who don't know me. I'm a solutions architect at a UK-based Microsoft Gold partner called CPS. For those from the UK, it is not the Crown Prosecution Service, although it does always cause a little bit of hilarity when we turn up at clients and receptionists look a little bit nervous when we're turning up there. So no, we don't prosecute anyone. We just help people with Microsoft and their needs within that. I've been working with Sharepoint. I started off in financial services many moons ago, had about 15 years in financial services, and then about 4 or 5 years ago moved over to the consultancy side. You can follow my blog at mcd79.com, and you always notice on your slides when you have duplicates just as you're presenting, so apologies not trying to push it too much. Do feel free to follow me on Twitter, LinkedIn. I've got a few things on GitHub as well. I'm also the co-host of the Grey Hat Beards podcast, and I talk there with my co-host Al Erdley, who's now at Microsoft, and Gary Trinder, who's a fellow CPS solutions architect, and we talk about all things Microsoft 365 in the modern workplace arena, and have news one week and then guests the next talking about particular topics. So we have Brian Yates on the last episode talking about favourite books and some great ideas for focus there, so do give us a listen. But today is all about search, and I started up, don't worry, it is about Microsoft Search, but I started off by asking 40 people, what is SharePoint Search? And these were some of the top phrases that came through. And obviously you're going to get SharePoint Search there. We've got management, content, ability, documents. People kind of think about that. And I tried to pick people outside the community, mostly, so sort of friends and other people I've worked with, to see if there was good understanding on there. And I got some people talking, it's the ability to search for content, which may be too obvious, but is right. A lovely answer from Sharon Sumner, who I know is helping on one of the tracks today, who said that's a fun question. It's everything from knowledge management to clutter management, which is one of my favorite phrases now, and I have borrowed heavily from her on that one. Some people hadn't heard me from a while, so they said, are you bored? It's the ability to find items in SharePoint. Yes, no, I wasn't bored. I was very busy, but they were about the find items. And then some people were a little bit too smart for their own goods. It's a service inside SharePoint that allows users to quickly find documents, content, or people with a combination of search queries and filters. And I was really impressed because this wasn't a SharePoint person until I Googled that phrase and realized they'd lifted it by searching it. And they hadn't even used Bing, which was particularly rude. So that was SharePoint Search, but what is Microsoft Search? This slide was from Ignite back in 2019 when it was kind of first being released and announced, and it really shows that it's that one service across all the different Microsoft exposed platforms. So you've got Bing, you've got Office.com, and you've got SharePoint in there. So if you're looking for a document from Office.com, it'll bring up SharePoint content. If we're in PowerPoint and you're trying to find documents related around Word, you can connect to that different content, and it's that same experience you're getting from everything using the graph. And if we're in Teams, then you can search, well, okay, soon you should be able to make the full power of Microsoft available within Teams, and I'll cover a little bit about that later. And also, hopefully, we should see it in Windows and being able to search from your search bar down the bottom, getting all that power of Microsoft Search. But it means you're getting that one search experience, all that AI goodness. Now, many of you who've may have come into Teams, you've probably come from that SharePoint Search background, and you might be thinking, is this just SharePoint Search? Am I seeing the same sort of thing there? And the answer is no. It is actually built more on the Bing technology. It's picking up more about using what Bing had to control things on there. So it's not using the SharePoint Search backend or fast as it was bought, although a lot of that technology is fed through into Bing and using things there. Does that mean SharePoint Search has gone away? No, actually far from it. It's got those different client applications, as you can see on the screen, feeding into that Microsoft Search service within there as well. And you've got all these different bits of content. So you've got your Teams chats, you've got your files and sites from SharePoint, you've got your answers, which I'll show a little bit later. And you can also even ingest your own content, whether it's from your on-premises systems, whether it's from other software as a service applications, applications you're using, you can pull that all to get the same experience within everything. And I'll show some of that as we go along. And there it is. It's that same search box. Someone was asking, how do you find out about Microsoft Search? It's that consistent search box. You know, generally you're looking at that top of the screen. You're even looking within Bing and being able to get results back from that and being able to find what you want. It's context aware. It knows where you're searching from, but allowing information from all over the place as well. So before we go on to that, let's just go into a little bit of a demo. And this is where I have a little bit of fun and games trying to work out how I do this on a Mac, but hopefully we should be good and you should be seeing at the moment Bing, but we're going to start off with office.com. So often your landing place for starting with Office things, and you've got a nice big search box up the top. And the second I click on that, it straight away started to look at things I've done recently, people I've worked with, sites I've worked on. It's bringing that content before I've even started to search for things. And if I look for project, I'm getting things like my apps for Microsoft Project. I'm getting the, excuse me, the project team as well. And I can show more results and get more details there and see the different things like the SharePoint project team. And I can even go and click within that site, and I can change that context to say, actually, I want to be searching from within that site, and I can alter it and say, let's have a look for the marketing materials within the Mark 8 project team site on there. And you can see it's bringing back files. It's looking into the contents of files as well as the details. It's bringing back pages from SharePoint as well. All that different content that I can slice and dice, and I can say I only want files, I only want news, I can only want news in the past amount of time, and really get to the right content I want. And if I don't want to be looking at that site specifically anymore, I can jump back to the organization level and look at different things there. And there I've got some different verticals, including things like Power BI and some other ones that I'm going to touch on a bit later. So you've got that ability to get to different points and get that context aware search all from one place. And you see you're getting previews from it as well. So if you're looking for a document, it's often trying to work out which is the right one you want to get. Yeah, you can get that as well. So taking this a little bit further, what does this look like when you drill down to looking at Microsoft Search with SharePoint Search and Teams? Now, this is Teams Nation, so we should probably start off looking at Teams. And I'm going to start off as the general view, everyone looking at their stuff within there. And again, you've got that same ubiquitous search box up the top. Teams is a little bit different. So if I look again for, let's try marketing, you'll see it's bringing back by default just Teams. It's not bringing back other files and things. It's just bringing back those Teams. And if I click on show more results, down the left, I'm getting this pillar, and I can start to look at results. So I can see my chat messages that are coming through, whether it's my private chat or whether it's the Teams chat. And it's only things you're permission to see. So you're not getting any results back that you shouldn't see. And I can filter who it's from. I can filter by the type, whether it is a chat one or it's a channel message. I can even add some other ones to look for subject. Should always be doing the right etiquette and bringing your subject into that as well, and it's particular teams. So I've got some details that I can filter to help me find the messages I want. If I'm looking for people, now this is a little bit disappointing when it comes to Teams. If I go back to the office.com and have a look for marketing, you'll see that I've got a people tab there. And if I look at the people, marketing is bringing back people related to marketing, whether it's their in their job title, whether they worked on projects around marketing, they've got skills in marketing, even other people who are within the marketing teams and departments. It's bringing back those different ones to help me find the ones I want. Within Teams, not so much. It really is bringing back the people. So I can go and look for specific people and go and get and chat with them, but it's not broadening out within all the different properties you've got, which is a little bit of a shame, and I hope that will change on there. I can also look at files. You can see here, because I'm searching for Megan still, it's bringing back files involving Megan, and I could search for marketing and see files related to marketing. Just trying to prove that, yeah, you can see other ones that's related to the planner. Someone's taken a screenshot, and this is a particularly interesting one because this is an image and it's called planner.png, and it's actually pulled the text marketing from that image within there as well. So it's pulling the details out, which is really quite nice. Microsoft Search is indexing images and pulling contents out from that, which makes it very useful. But it is very Teams focused. All these documents are in Teams. These aren't SharePoint ones. They aren't from my OneDrive. They're tied in with Teams. So you've got that context aware, but you're slightly caught within that Teams bubble. The offset to that is you do get some nice functions that you can put a slash on here, and you can check on activity. So I could have a look for activity for good old Megan Bowen and see what she's been up to and typing on there. So you've got some, not so much search activities, but kind of commands and functions. So you can very quickly set your status to do not disturb, which I'm going to turn off now I think about it, just in case. On this, so there we go, available, just to make sure it doesn't lock off any focus chat and things on there. So you can make within Team Search, you can actually do some of these commands as well as just searching for things, which is pretty nice. However, if you want to go a little bit further and search your broader organization, there are now ways to do things. The eagle-eyed of you may have noticed the landing that's there, and this is actually the new Viva Connections that's available. So if I click on that again, you can see I've got my global navigation bar that's available within SharePoint. I can browse between my sites, my news. I can even click down and it would show files as well if I had slightly less on there, and I can get to my content. And here is my nice Viva Connections intranet landing page there within Teams. Yes, I'm using the web browser, but you get the same experience if you were using the desktop client as well. And so I can go into that. And you will see if you have embedded a web page or a SharePoint page into your Teams using an app already, you generally get that bigger element to it, or you get the top navigation with Viva Connections. You get this top navigation, but you lose that Microsoft 365 header and that search. And the reason is, if I click on the search here, and if I have a look for marketing, you'll notice that I've got marketing, press enter to view all results as I had before, but I've now got one extra option that says search in the landing, which is what I've called my Viva Connections app. And this says opens SharePoint site. And if I click on that, it's gonna open it in a new tab. So I've moved away from Teams, but it triggers it through from Teams. So I've now got that ability. I've gone back to SharePoint. You can see again, I've got those same tabs as I had in the office.com. I've got that context aware point for things. And if I have a look to some of the sites, there's a nice one in the Mark 8 project team. Let's go and jump into that and have a look at search for within there. Now, something has changed in my demo environment because it used to say search in site here, and it was context aware, and it was guiding you with the text. And over the last week, that's changed. So I'm hoping that is something in my environment and not something that's going to change drastically. But you can see here again, I've gone into that Mark 8 project team. I've now got the context of searching within that site as well. If I go into documents, which will be your documents, they're showing up. You can see my Teams channels appearing there. And if I search within this, again for marketing, this time when I search, instead of that search view of things, because it knows I'm looking at documents, it's given me that documents view, and I've got the nice headers as I would within a document library in SharePoint or your files tab within Teams, and I can sort by, modify by. I've got my metadata, so I could even group by that target type, and really helps me drill into the kind of assets I'm looking for because it knows I'm looking for documents within there. I've got that experience like a document library. If I go to another site, let's keep a quick eye on time. Hopefully you're aware of hub sites within SharePoint, and global sales has been defined as a hub site. And under that, I've got retail operations, sales and marketing. And if I go and search within here, let's carry on with that same search phrase of sales and marketing. You can see I'm getting content from this sales and marketing site. But if I scroll down a little way, you can see I'm getting a folder called Why Customer Services and New Marketing, and that's in the retail operations site. I'm getting news from the retail operations site as well. So it's across that umbrella things. And if I go into that retail operations and search within there, again for marketing, I know I'm repetitive, I do apologize, but I know it works. So it's always good to not to have a demo that goes wrong, but I'm getting the results there from marketing, and I've got that lovely breadcrumb trail. You saw the one before that allowed me to go up to organization. Now, because I'm in a site attached to a hub site, I can extend my search back up to that hub site, so I can get to the content I want. I can go further and look for my search within all organization. In fact, in this case, it's pulled out some details about OneDrive as well, which is interesting. I'll come to where that block is a little bit later. But if I come out of that search, I'm still on that retail operations site. I haven't gone to other tabs. I haven't added to my many tabs that are open within there. I'm still within the context of that site. I can still go back to the home page of this one and work within there. So it's a great way of having that seamless experience for search, looking either on your site where your context wants to be, going up to that hub site, and then go even wider to the organization, and then returning to what you're doing very easily as well. I do hope that the experience that Microsoft search experience does expand a bit more in Teams, and they have said it is going to be more powered by Microsoft Search. So fingers crossed we'll see a little bit more of that integration coming even further into Teams as well. Going to head back to the slides a sec. Sorry, give me 1 sec to make sure I get the right one. There we go. And so, yeah, we were talking there about the Microsoft Search versus SharePoint Search versus Teams Search. But if you're here at Teams Nation, you probably know a decent amount about Teams. You probably know a nice amount about SharePoint. You're probably using a lot of this, and you've seen a lot of those things already. So you might be thinking this Microsoft Search looks to be something nice for Microsoft, maybe makes them easy to manage things, but is there actually anything really new? Is there any big changes that I should know about? Yes. Is the short answer there. So I'm going to go back into the demo sites. I'm going to start to talk about some of the back end and things that you can make available within that. Definitely need to practice sharing my screen a lot more with Mac for these, so apologies for the jumping around. So I'm there in Teams. I'm actually going to close that off just to save a little bit of RAM and go into this tab, and this is the Microsoft 365 Admin Center. And you'll see down the left that I've selected under settings the search and intelligence section within there. I'm just going to hide that to get as much space and help you see that as possible. And within here, you've got some stats. So you can see it's a demo environment, so it doesn't get used massively, except when I'm doing some demos or doing a little bit of prep for demos as well. You can see I was doing this similar presentation yesterday and was doing a few queries with them there. So you get some charts on the total number of search queries, and you can change it to look at past 31 days and past 12 months, and you can download some of that data. It's not an extensive, as it says at the top, it is in preview. It's improved greatly over the last 12 months that I've been really digging into Microsoft Search, but it's not a slice and dice. It's not going to replace some of your more complex search analytics tools within there. You've got a few more things on there at the moment, so you can see the top queries that people are looking for. If people look for things and don't get any results back, then it brings that back as well. And any abandoned queries, so people who are looking for things and then don't click on any of those results. So you're getting some insights into the kind of things that people are looking for that aren't bringing back the right results, and that maybe you could tailor some things towards that as well. You'll also notice just right down the bottom of the screen, you can also view Bing's top queries. This is a good chance to talk about the fact that these results are actually in bing.com as well. If I jump over to my bing.com tab, if I do a search for marketing, I'm going to bring back all sorts of marketing material, but you'll see it's actually pulled there, your work results. And I've got a nice vertical along there that I can filter just for my work content and look for the different details there. And again, it's that same content. It's that Microsoft Search powering the same thing everywhere. And I've got the same tabs there, except actually there's one new one that you only get in bing.com at the moment. And I hope this is going to be coming even wider. I'm pretty sure it is, because if I click on that, it's bringing back my conversations that are taking place in Microsoft Teams. So I can start to search for my chat that's going on. Maybe I can look for those conversations I'm having with Megan Bowen as well. If I have a look, I think Mark 8 is the other one as the project team. You can see different contexts. Now, what you'll notice there is I've got a lovely icon on here, and hopefully you can see that because this one is a Teams icon. The second one is actually from Yammer. So if you've had those situations where you've had that conversation with someone and you can't remember, was it in Yammer, was it in Teams, was it even in an email, you can now go to bing.com, go to the work tab, bring up the conversations, search for the kind of topic you were talking about or the thing you were talking about within there, and it will help you find that content across those 3 different areas. So I really love this functionality. I do hope it's going to be coming to the office.com and the SharePoint areas fairly soon, because I use this quite a bit because I'm very forgetful and have conversations all over the place. Not good etiquette, I know, but that is the way some of these conversations go, especially with different clients, even in your own domain. So making use of this conversations area can be useful. Going back to the admin center, if we have a look at answers, this is where you start to get the extra power that Microsoft Search brings on there. So you've probably got acronyms within your organization. You've got those TLAs that when you've been there for years, just roll off the tongue on there. Used to live in Singapore and love to talk about going on the PIE to the AYE and all the names of the different roads. That took me about 3 years to actually remember what each of them were. But now you can define them within your search. So you can see I've actually taken a standard set from Microsoft in terms of their acronyms, and you can import these from a CSV file or export those. So you can work with them, build up a set and load them all in one go. You don't have to manually add each of those. But if you want to, it's pretty easy to do. So I can add an acronym, let's say Teams Nation, TMR for Teams Nations Rocks. The best community event, and I can put a source, so I can put a URL so people know. The source will either be where you've got the detail of this information, or it could be a link that you want to provide to people that when they look for this. So in this case, we want to get people going to the Teams Nation site. And as you write this, you'll get that that view of what it will look like in the search results live as you type up the top. So we can publish that and make that available. I would demo that straight away, but it does take a little bit of time. It takes a few minutes to come through from there, which is useful. Now, this is, I said earlier, I hate it when demos go wrong. This is where it is all going to go wrong, I suspect, because if I say in here, define RFP, yeah, you see, it's still not working. In my other tenants on there, that will bring back the acronym. There is something on here that this environment that isn't working. I've seen it working in others. It's been absolutely fine. There is something in this one that I still haven't managed to get to the bottom of. I've also got the grumble that I can't just type RFP. I do need to say define RFP. If I search just for RFP, it'll bring up files and other things, but it's a bit of a pain. I would love this to bring that back straight away, but just having that define and having it does make it easy for people once they get used to it. So your change in adoption will need to get that out to people. Going to some of the other capabilities, you can also have bookmarks. If you've come from the SharePoint world, then you'd be thinking about best bets and the various other things that it was called over the years that I really should write down because they always escape me what they're called now. But within here, you can add your bits at the top. So I'm not going to add this one, but we'll edit here. You can see Grey Hat Beard, the podcast. If you want people, when they search for Grey Hat Beard, it will come up with a nice bookmark at the top of the screen. Rather than just looking through the content, you can guarantee that will appear when they look for it. And that will pick up from the Grey Hat Beard, the name you've given it. It will also pick up from these keywords. So you can actually put a specific keyword and add additional information. And if I edit that, you can see I've added podcast and modern workplace as keywords. So if people search for those, it will also bring this back. And in fact, by ticking this automatically match similar keywords, maybe I've got modern workplace as one word, future workplace, the kind of related ones. It will use Microsoft's AI behind the scenes, powering things like the Q&A maker to look at that and interpret the different phrases. So you don't need to add every single variation within that. You can actually just tick that, add a few, and it will be done as well. I just noticed a question from Sarah. You asking about the acronyms. Can that be done at an organisation level? Those acronyms are at an organisational level. They're not targeted per se within there. So yeah, they will exist for the whole organisation on that. Just coming back to this in terms of keywords, you can also create a reserve keyword. So I could have other inferior podcasts like Office 365 Distilled. Sorry, Steve and Moraine, if you're listening, I'm only kidding, I promise. But you could have other ones. So if people search a podcast, you could have multiple bookmarks come up. But I can put a reserved keyword. So I can actually reserve, if I took podcast out of there and said that no one else can have a bookmark for the word podcast, it will guarantee that Grey Hat Beard comes up there. Now, it's a little bit nasty. I wouldn't generally do that, but there may be examples. For example, Christmas party. You may want to make sure that when people search Christmas party, only the official party comes up for the organisation, rather than department level ones potentially being talked about more and appearing at the top. So you can pin those things as well. If I scroll down a little bit, there's a few options you can go through here. So you can give it a start and end date, so you can make sure it expires without you manually having to do that, or only goes live at a certain time. You can filter it by country and region. Now, this is really targeted on language. You'll notice the region, it's not physical locations, it's Belgian French and Belgian Dutch and Canada English French and Switzerland French and German. So it's that kind of different notion within there. You're really looking at the language availability on there. You can also, if you want to get more fine grains, then you can bring up your groups. So this will be your Microsoft 365 or security groups. So I can add, for example, only show this to the finance team, and that gives you a lot more control because you can build up your AD groups as you need to. You can target it to particular devices. So maybe if your search result is an app, you can bring it back and say, actually, if they're on Windows, I want to point them to this link. If they're on iOS, I want to point them to this link, and to give those different elements there. And you can get a little bit of a combination. So you can bring back that device and operating system, plus the country and region, and give it a different title. So you don't have to create too many similar bookmarks from that. But I'm rushing through those because my favorite of these is the Powerapp. And within here, you can actually put an app ID for a Powerapp. And if I go back to the office.com page and bring it back as the all element and look for leave, because I want to book some leave. And you'll see when I do that, I've got my bookmark that appears nicely at the top of the search results. And there is my Powerapp. And I can click on open app, and there on the screen, it's not opening up into a different window. Very quickly, I can go in and log in as an employee, and I can make a request for some leave. I was talking to Antoine at the beginning, and we're off to France, so I can go and book in there my leave to France using the Powerapp. And this is a live Powerapp that's been created for in that tablet view. And I can put my details in there and raise that request. And once it's all good, I can close off the Powerapp, and it's still there. It's still available, all there within the search window. I can carry on searching for other things I need to do. So I think that's a really powerful way of publishing out your apps to other people. Just going to close that off. One other thing I really like within the bookmarks is also you can filter by your draft, your scheduled ones. You can exclude ones temporarily. But there's a filter called suggested, and this is another area where the AI from Microsoft is powering things. So they've come up with a few recommended things that people often search for within organizations, because this is a demo tenant. It's really coming up with a default one, and it's got things like COVID-19 resources, philanthropy, because I'm sure many of your organizations have a huge amounts of philanthropy that goes on, but it kind of recommends these different areas. But what I like about this is in real results, if people are searching for things and not getting results, and they're seeing a lot of searches, then it will recommend those as a bookmarks as well. So it's using that AI to really understand what people are doing with things as well, which is really, really useful and powerful. excuse me. I'll come back to your question a little bit later, Sarah. I'm going to try and get through the Q&A. Again, much like bookmarks, but instead of searching, many people don't search for a single phrase, they will search for a question. You can provide those questions. So the nice thing about this is using the Azure services like Q&A Maker to kind of understand the intent of that question and provide results. So people don't need to ask exactly that question. It's not a pattern matching algorithm. It's going to work out what people are trying to ask and direct that answer back to them. So you can provide them details and a summary, answer their question, provide them, such as here, links back to where they can book leave as well. So really powerful way of being able to have that search in different ways that people can ask questions as well as just searching for things. The locations allows you to put your offices. So for example, you can put Microsoft Singapore there and you'll see it will actually provide here is what it would look like, and we can expand that. It shows the map within there. You can browse in. It's using Bing Maps. You can browse around and see what's nearby. It does make me laugh more often than not. If you do this with a UK venue, it picks up a pub and a bar within there. Singapore's a lot posher and it has hotels and casinos, so that's nice to see there. But the one that I really like from these, the floor plans. So if you have AutoCAD, or you can even create your content within Visio, you can upload those floor plans as files within this, and you can start to map this to your employees' locations and track that. Looks like it's being a little bit slow. Come on, wake up now. But you can actually map that through. While that's loading, I'm going to jump over to Bing. Where did I have it? There we go. If I look for Bianca, for example, let's have a look in the people. There's Bianca Pisani. Fantastic. Let's bring back her details card, and you'll notice that that's her location. That's the code for her desk that I can actually click on, and I can see the floor plan of that desk. So I know when I come up the stairs, I just need to turn left and it's just around the corner into that office there. And that's where Bianca sits. Now, I spent many years ago working on a massive project, just trying to implement something like this. And it was tens of thousands into hundreds of thousands pounds to implement that. And it never really worked nicely integrated with things. Now you've got that, it's in the contact card, so you can get to people's details. Many of you won't be in the office at the moment, so it's maybe not so relevant, but you know what? Now is the time to start planning for this, ready for everyone going back, because everyone forgets where everyone sits. You're probably having shuffle rounds. This can pull that detail from their AD records and actually log there. And you'll also see, if I click see it on a map, I haven't linked that one together very well, but if you put your stuff together, it knows the office and it will have pulled together that location as well. So where you've got that office location, if you're going to another place, you can click and view the Bing map for that as well. So here you can see I've uploaded that DWG file. As I say, it's an AutoCAD format that you can also use Visio to edit as well. And you can start to map through the different things, and you pull together your formats. So you talk about the office locations, whether you've got numbers, you've got IDs for those office that you include in AD, and it will start to say how many it's mapped and what the pattern is. So it has improved in the last 6 months about making it easier on how to do that. But definitely prep a little bit of time for it, because it takes a little while for some of those updates to filter through into Azure AD. So don't expect it to go live straight away, but really powerful capabilities all there and available for you. Going to jump back to the slides for a little while. Where have they gone? So as you can see, there is a lot available within there. I'll come back to your question, Sarah. Are there any recommendations? Which style of Powerapp? I think both work. If you're wanting to get those search results on the phone, then obviously the phone format will work best in both situations. So the phone is more durable, but if you're cramming a lot of information in there, then you're going to cram a lot of information into a phone app. So I think it works slightly better with the phone version just because you've got that window, but I wouldn't say 100%. Give it a try with your apps itself as well. So taking this out, one of the things that's now providing a lot of the connectors and ways to get into the things for Microsoft Search is the Microsoft Graph, and that's where it's getting all its information on calendars. It's pulling that data from everywhere within it. Oh, and I keep forgetting to take preview off these slides. This actually isn't preview, this is now GA. There are 3 sets of connectors, and these are ways to get to your information outside of Microsoft 365. There's a set of Microsoft built connectors that you get and you can follow wizards to set up. There are a set of partner connectors that have been created by partners that you can go and purchase from them to get to other things like Jira, SAP is some of them. But if you don't want to pay that money, or you've got something that's not provided by a partner, there is a Microsoft Graph Search API that you can go and create your own connections to your own content. And that can be on premises or in the cloud as well. If we look at some of those Microsoft built connectors, there's probably the ones you expect, like being able to connect to your on-premise file shares. You can surface those in Microsoft Search. You can have Microsoft SQL on premises and the Azure SQL as well. There's Azure Data Lake. But there's also the non-Microsoft stuff. So you can bring on your media wiki, whether it's kind of externally facing or internal. You can bring in your enterprise website. So if you've got content on your website that you think are relevant to internal staff as well, then you can index that into your Microsoft Search. There's even third-party ones like ServiceNow and that you can go and connect to. So if you've got your knowledge bases, your tickets, you can surface that information in Search and make it available to people. You can even connect to Oracle databases, which I think is amazing. The thought of Microsoft and Oracle talking nicely together is brilliant, and I love it. And if you had, for example, your maybe your stock records are there in Oracle, you can go and query those. So if you looked for fridges, you could see how many fridges are in stock, and it will update that as you go along. If you don't want to, if what you need isn't one of those, you can see a whole list of things like Alfresco, I mentioned Jira, GitLab's on there, Google Cloud SQL. Partners have been working to create these, and if you look for, if you use Bing to search on Microsoft Search connectors partners, there's a list of all those partners there. They don't give prices, you'll need to go and speak to them and understand, and they provide the details and can get you going and support you to connect to all sorts of different things and surface that information into Microsoft Search as well. But also you can do it yourself. Now I'm looking at the time, not quite going to get time to do a full demo, but I'm going to show you where you can see a little bit more information on this. While I'm bringing that, I should mention that there is a license requirement for Search. Just checking, yeah, you should be able to see my screen. Let's oh dear, my page is timed out there. That's not ideal, but you'd see on here the index utilization. So if you have an E5 usage, E5 license, then you get some index utilization where you can pull that content from elsewhere. If you have E3, you will need to purchase that as a separate add-on within there. And if you've used up that index utilization, I'm just going to try and refresh the page, see if that brings things back. If you have used up your utilization, then you can purchase additional blocks within that as well. So you would see usually, I told you demos would go wrong, you would usually see that along the top there of how much you've used and how much is being used within that. And I was hoping to show you nicely down here, obviously something's decided to break, a list of the connections I have. So I've managed to index not only my own blog, so I've got my blog, I can pull the index and hopefully still working here. That's where you got the McD79. If I search for Viva, unfortunately, at the moment, those results don't come back into the all vertical, but that is coming soon, as I understand it. There is some debate as to whether it's going to appear along the top or whether it will appear embedded with the rest of the search results. But I can go to that vertical and yep, fantastic, that bit's working at least. You can see it's pulled back my blog and talked about all the ones that I've mentioned Viva in recently. So it's indexing my content and bringing that through there as well. But I can also, you may have noticed I've got Collab Talk here. Now this is actually indexing Twitter. We've got the Teams Nation Collab Talk this afternoon at I think it's 6 UK time, which would be 7 Central European time. And I have created something using Azure Logic Apps to go and index content. Every time someone talks about hashtag Collab Talk, I'm pulling that into my search index, and I can then go and query that, and I can pull it in one go. So I've also got a logic app that I can run that says go and get me the last 100 tweets that mention it, plus I've got that triggering one. So you don't need to wait overnight for things to get indexed. You can inject it right there and have it appear within your search results. And if you're interested in that, if you go to McD 79, it's about it's probably about 10 posts down. I'll try and put this into the chat in a minute. I've got an overview of what I've had to do for doing that and how it's set up. I mentioned that idea of having the parts database. You can see how you can render things. This was all following a GUI wizard, so very easy to do. And within this, I'm not going to say it's no code, because there's JSON involved, but being logic apps, it's a bit like Power Automate. So you're getting your HTTP request. I'm making REST calls within that. I'm not really writing any C# in this case. I'm not writing any JavaScript. It's relatively easy to get this set up, and I've got a GitHub repo. If you have any questions, please do reach out to me on Twitter if you've got any questions about setting that up. You can also, there are some guides where you want to connect it to on-premise using the Microsoft Data Connector. You can do that as well. But it really allows you to expose further what you can do with the Microsoft Search. You'll see you can bring back those different result types. Is that bringing the data sources? No, still not showing up there. You can define your verticals. So you could have different sets of verticals within that for the same content, but sliced and filtered for different usages as well. And I don't think the configuration is going to load if the other stuff's, the configuration is more about your Bing settings. So if you don't want people searching Bing, you can turn that off as well within there. Let's jump back again to the slides, quickly bring those up. So yeah, again, just talking through the different ways you can pick that up. The final one, we had a lovely conversation with a client where we were talking about Microsoft Search, and they were seeing all the beauties and they really enjoyed it. And they said, yeah, we really like that, but we don't want to use SharePoint. Can you give us that, but not in SharePoint? And we said no a few times because we don't generally like developing, and we gave them a quote for things on there. But now you can actually get and develop using Microsoft Graph and the APIs there. You can develop your own way of connecting that and bringing back search scopes as well. So you can actually pull that in. We actually developed that with Q&A Maker, so we could have that question and answer instead of using the Microsoft Search question and answers where you kind of had to manually and import it there. They wanted to use Q&A Maker. We use adaptive cards. You've got that common look and feel, made it look very much like the search results that would come back from within there. So if you go to github.com/KevMcDonald, look for the MS Search Spa. SPA is for single page application. There is no foot rubs going on here, I'm afraid. It's one of my pinned repos, but you can certainly bring that back as well and actually create development as well. So what does the future hold for Microsoft Search? I'm not an MVP, so I don't know, but from what I've been able to gather and from what I've been able to pull out and see from conferences and other areas, we're going to see more about people. So where I showed you that ability to search for when you got back a SharePoint search, you could click on that and search within that site. You had that context of that SharePoint site. You'll be able to do that with people. So if someone shared a document with you and you can't remember where it is, search for that person, then search for a keyword within the context of that person, and it will show documents that they've created, that they've worked on, or even that they've been using, that you have permissions to see, and will open things up. So really helping you to make it even easier to pull that back as well. I think we're going to see more skills as well. So within the Delve world, there was the kind of notion of I know Microsoft 365, Microsoft Search, having that ability to search people related to those skills. That will be coming as well, and even more content. So you'll be able to pull in the external. I think we'll see even more coming related to that as well. Those external connectors. haven't seen massive amounts of community ones. I know we've got those partner ones you can pay for. Would love to see some more community ones, and I think there's certainly an opportunity that I wish I had a bit more time to start to pull together, but would like to see that, to try and have those developed connectors to make it easier for people to connect to other bits of content as well. And I think we'll start to see even more supplied by Microsoft themselves. For example, Azure DevOps was in there, but Dynamics isn't. Wouldn't it be great to be able to get your list of organizations from Dynamics and jump straight to the relevant project or opportunity from that? Would be very useful. The one I'm looking forward to here most is that Microsoft Teams hub, that ability to have your content, that Microsoft Search full experience within Microsoft Teams. It has been coming for a while. I'm hoping we will hear something very soon. I've been saying that for a lot this year, but I think we'll start to see more and more of the Teams experience with Microsoft Search improve. And also we know that's coming is the Windows search. So when you search within Windows, having those Microsoft Search results come back. So it's not just your device, you'll be pulling back your OneDrive, your SharePoint results, and being able to filter that as well. Plus, we've got Cortex, aka SharePoint Syntax, aka Viva Topics. I know there's so many great Viva sessions going on at Teams Nations, but so much of that is powered by Microsoft Search, and those topics, I didn't show that, but if you search for a topic within Microsoft Search, it appears like a bookmark, and you've got ways to link into that. So you've got that integration with Microsoft Search, and it's powering where it's doing the intelligence and pinning things along there as well. So in summary, what do you get? You've got search across Microsoft 365 content, whether that's SharePoint, whether that's Teams, whether that's Yammer, and your own content. So you can even pull in your extra stuff, whether it's ServiceNow, whether it's your own custom items as well. You can bring all that into search. Why? Because it's one place and one way to get all that AI goodness, all that content that you can filter from different areas, and how you've got that big ubiquitous search box in so much of the Microsoft content that you can add configuration to. I didn't show it. There's a great PMP modern search web part, so you can do even more. If that doesn't meet your needs, you can customize it if you want to go down that route and embed that onto a SharePoint page as well. And there you can really add your own filters and a lot more content within there. And you can also develop with Microsoft Graph. You can expose that, whether it's through a separate application or built into a SharePoint framework website, a web part, should I say. You can build those things and make those available within Teams as well. Otherwise, thank you very much. Please do provide some feedback. The more feedback we get, it helps us tailor these talks. It's so useful for us as speakers, so useful for the Teams Nation organisers, Chris, Vescu and Adam, who do an amazing job. They don't get paid for this. They just love the community so much. And I know how much time they give up from this. So please do give some feedback, join in the other sessions, share some love. Come and see us at the Alt VR. I've got my brand new Mac, which I'm very excited. I've installed Alt VR and it might actually work. So I'll be joining and be there chatting to people later, but share about it. Let us know what you think. Otherwise, going to take a breath and have a look and see if there's any questions from anyone.